Hi, it's me again with Corel Draw Tips and Tricks. Somebody sent me this really fuzzy monogram type font where you're going to put a name in it. I am going to clean this one up because I think it is pretty cool. But there are probably 5 or 6 of these on DA fonts that are ready to go. This one's a little bit different. It is a C. This is more definitely a C. But we're gonna do it because that's what he wanted to do. So the one I'm doing it for, set your duplicate distance on 0, 0. And we're gonna take this, and it's big. So we're gonna make it smaller. It's less than 3 inches. We're gonna set our nudge factor on 3. I am gonna make a duplicate of it just in case something happens. And then I'm gonna take this one and trace it. Trace bitmap, outline, trace, clip art. And the reason I set my nudge factor is because now I can nudge the new one over. And if we look at it with a yellow box, and go up, I just added this or started using this up here. It's not very good, but it's not terrible. But I'd like to go ahead and get rid of, I jiggled it. I want to maybe get it back. So I'm going to go to object and group and ungroup it. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that white. Don't really have to in what I'm doing, but I think it just helps us think about to make sure we get rid of this because I know he's going to do some coasters. Now, it's pretty rough. Even the lines are rough. That's going to be the easiest part to clean up. So we're going to take this whole thing. First of all, I'm going to lock my yellow box so I can't grab it because I'm going to, when I try to grab it here, it'll grab the yellow box. So I'm going to select, see, I don't have to do that anymore. I can just go right here and I'm going to left click, right click. And at this time, I'm going to go and I'm going to group and I'm going to, well, it should ungroup. It is ungroup. I'd already ungrouped it. We're going to work on the line last, but what I noticed right off the bat, first of all, what I'm going to do for this gentleman is I'm going to double click on here or hit your F12 on the keyboard, and I'm going to change your graphic to a hairline. Big deal. I'm not worried about red right now, but we're going to go ahead and make it red. And then every time you draw, it'll be in red. So I'm going to select this, but I'm just going to convert this to an outline or to a hairline. So we see some problems right there. We can't grab it, so we'll go to object and break the curve apart. And by doing that, now we can grab it. Now we need to straighten this out. I've already kind of played with it a little bit. If we take the shape tool and move it out, well, good, there's only one line on this. So we need to just like maybe delete these 2 nodes, maybe delete these 2 nodes, and just kind of clean it up around this arch. And like particularly on this, whatever this is supposed to be, I'm going to grab it and I'm going to select it all. I'm going to right click. I'm going to turn it into lines. Look at that. And if it was supposed to be square, then it is square now. This might have to be a line. So I'm not going to try to square it up. I'm just going to bring that down. And then you would go through the whole thing and I would take my smoothing tool, which I know he has X7, and I'm going to make my nudge about 0.25 because I don't want to interfere with anything else. And because it's on coasters, it's not going to be real big, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And I actually played with this before I went out to dinner, and it had double lines, so thankfully it doesn't have double lines this time because I wanted to show how to get rid of the double lines. But we are going to fix this line right here. And the best way to fix it is just to get rid of it. So I'm going to take a 2-point line and I'm going to go from right there to right there. Then I can take my virtual segment delete key and I could measure that, probably should, so I'll know how thick it is, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to ballpark it off of this one. I'm going to take a rectangle and I'm going to make that rectangle about as long and about as thick. I'm a little bit thicker, but we're okay as long as you make them the same. And we could put it, well, you know what, I moved it up. So if you hold down the control button, it'll make you, why is that doing that? There we go. I'm just going to have them touch. And I'm going to make a duplicate of that because I'm going to use that same thickness on the bottom one. Now, he did not reply to me yet, whether he's going to put a name in here. We're going to change our nudge factor to 0.01, and I'm just going to nudge this up. And by doing that, I can take away my virtual segment delete key, and I can take away these lines. I'm not worried about this line, but I'm going to go ahead and take it away. I'm going to take away all the lines that are below my line. And I need to get black up in here. I need to get black up in here. And I need to get black up in here. And I also need to get black up in there. So we're done. And I would, straighten these out, if you wanted them square or round. But like I said, once you figure out it's so little, that are you going to be able to tell it? Now I'm going to fill it in with black, and I'm going to change my nudge factor back to 3 inches. And I'm going to call that good. I'm going to nudge it over. I've locked my box, so I can't do anything with that. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the downside or the below part. And I'm going to change it. See, I see something wrong right there. I'm going to delete it while I can. I'm going to select the whole thing and make it a hairline. He evidently draws in 0.069. And it doesn't look too bad. There's a part right there. You could either use a shape tool to delete that node, delete a couple of nodes. And just, when I try to tell somebody, it's going to be your MonoGram. And that's all I did to look at on DA fonts. I just looked for MonoGram, and there was like 7 pages, and they all came up. And not all of them were good. I'll grant you that, but they're clear, sharp. So we're going to now get rid of this. Now this is a little bit easier. So what I'm going to do, I need to add a node. I'm going to take the shape tool, and I'm going to add a node right there. And then I'm going to take that away. I want to just really replace that top line. So I could this might be the easiest. I'm going to take my shape tool. I'm going to right click. I'm going to go and break it apart. I'm going to go way over here. I'm going to grab the top one, right click, and break apart. When I do that, I can take out that whole line at one time. Now I could probably work on this, but I'm just going to right click and turn this into a line, and that kind of squared it up. I'm actually going to use this. I'm going to go to align nodes, and that's vertically, so I'm going to take away horizontally and align that node. Now this is up a little bit, and we can align all those nodes and do everything you wanted to do. And I'm not going to take away this line. Well, you know what? I really ought to take away that line like I did on the bottom. That worked the top. That worked pretty well. So get your 2-point line. I'm going to have to zoom in here and just kind of go from a high point to there. And we got it. And then I'm going to delete all the nodes all the lines that are above it first. Kind of lost my train of thought there for a second. I'm not worried about the lines between them, and I'm not worried about that line right now. I'm just trying to get the lines that are above it. And those are actually below it, so it's good. So now I'm going to take away that straight line. And that might cause interference, but I'm going to take this and holding down the control button so it'll move perfect, exactly where it's supposed to. And I'm going to double check that because this needs to be there. So it's a little bit off. So we're just going to move that manually. Now I am going to take away this other line. And that's pretty good. Now I'm going to take away the lines that need to be taken out. That line, that line, that line, that line. And that line. Nope, I took away too many lines. You know what? Because it's not touching anywhere. That line isn't touching, so we're going to take this for just a second and move that node right to there. And when I do that, I can cut this, and that'll stop right there. I think we're really good. I'm going to set my nudge factor back on 3 inches. So it is already. And I'm going to take my smart fill tool and fill that in. Now, I'm going to go ahead and back up and use black. Fill that in, nudge it over. That's not connected, so fill it in and nudge it over. And you're really good to go. You've left all the lines. These are just fills now, but they still have an outline, so we can still left click, right click. If you're going to have a name just written in there, and I would always get rid of, after you're through, get rid of this stuff so you won't get confused what's good and what's bad. And I think you're good to go. It's a little bit still rough right there. You could still, I don't know why this keeps changing to 0.69. I think you can just see so much better when it's like that. Let's just delete a couple of nodes and get this more of a curve. And just kind of, when you're doing something like that, just watch from a distance to see if it changes anything. I would be quite proud of that. You know, that could be cleaned up a little bit more right here, either with the smoothing tool, which is probably the easiest for most people. You just want to click on your line, but you're also touching that other line. So you've got to think about that unless you made it a little bit smaller. You know, you can just kind of go over the whole thing a little bit. And then when you're done, select it all and turn it black. And there's your monogram. Hope that helped a little bit. Thank you for watching.